Welcome to Restoring Childhood on the Same Page. I'm your host, Ryan Dalton. Today, we're going to be discussing Chapter 11, What Schools Can Do Now. And I have three amazing guests here with me, and we will start right over here and let them introduce themselves.
I'm Jill Ramsey, and I am a mom, a nana now, a retired educator, and now I'm a school board member from District 2.
My name is Sara Harvick. I am a mom. I am an assistant principal at Prescott South Elementary.
And Corby King, I'm the director of schools for the Putnam County School System, but also a dad of two children who have grown up with the anxious generation as part of that. So this is a good chapter, Ryan.
Yeah, very good chapter. I think it's pretty obvious why I invited you all here, but I mean, you, Miss Ramsey, have been on board from the jump and just been so supportive and going to the various everything I've invited you to, you've come to.
Yes.
But I've appreciated your passion about this. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. I am passionate about it.
Yeah, and it's very obvious. And then I know you read this long before any of this, right?
Or at least yes, I started the process. Yes.
Yeah. And so I know that when we first connected, you were talking about like, this is already what you're all about. And
these were my family rules before I ever knew this existed.
So you possibly could have been his advisor.
Listen, I'm an advocate of his for sure.
Okay.
You've chosen educators. It's been a trend. I know with Dr. Presley, some of the others, it's all in the home the same way.
Yeah.
Harvick.
Yeah, Dr. Presley, what was interesting is she had not read the book, but she lived this, and she didn't need to read the book, really. I mean, she already lived it.
That's right.
But, yeah, so, and then obviously you're...
Yeah, same. My wife and I jumped in early on. We started talking about the book. Actually, I wasn't aware of this until you sent the first email. Hey, I've read this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And so then we got a copy of the book to see. But the board members jumped on. Jill and Kim Cravens, Don Fry, they all jumped on right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, we're moms.
Because you're moms, so that's it. And grandparents for Jill. And, it just resonated with everyone. It's kind of what we feel in the schools. It's what we see. So
I think it's something we've felt for many years now, and this puts into words things that we kind of already knew, but it's like, no, okay, this is this is it.
Now we need to move.
Yeah.
We kind of already knew, but we were hoping it wasn't true. But we kept seeing the evidence of everything that we read here.
Yeah.
And as a mom who has a millennial and a Gen Zer, I saw a radical difference in my two daughters. The millennial not so attached to the phone as the Gen Zer, and it was all supported in here because the millennial daughter didn't have the smartphone, and it was about the connection to the outside world. And they still are radically different in how they use their phones. The millennial can't find her phone half the time.
Which is great.
But my other daughter is very much attached to it. So I see it in my own children's lives, and I have 3 grandchildren, and I don't want them to grow up the same way.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at with my own daughters. They go to Prescott over there with you, and I already greatly limit screen time and that in the house, and but I had promised Maya that when she gets to middle school, she could get a smartphone. And when I read this, I was like, nope, pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah, we're not doing that. But I don't want them. I want them growing up with the experience where they can build their resilience and do all the things that it speaks about, and not just dependent on these devices.
Absolutely,
so, that's right. We held out with our kids. They were in middle school before we bought phones, and it was still too early.
Yeah.
And I've said that often. We were talking before. They both had Miss Harvick as a teacher. Actually, she was taught middle school at that time, and for us as parents, we held out. It was eighth grade, 7th or 8th grade. I'm pretty certain it was 8th grade before we fell to the pressure. And got the phone. But it changed their personality.
Yeah.
And we could see it. And we were talking about how we use it as a management tool sometimes. If they were in trouble, instead of grounding and whatever, we'd take the phone for a day or a couple of days. And what we would see is we get our kids back for that couple of days. And just such a change in their personality by taking the screen time away or that connection.
Oh, yeah.
And even at that point, we still didn't allow them to charge them in their room or keep them in the room overnight. They had to leave them on the kitchen
Unfettered
counter. We were
access.
part of that
Yeah.
early on. But again, we gave in too early, and it's hard because kids just don't know how to manage that.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I have a 6-year-old and a 14-month-old, so I'm in a different frame. But my 6-year-old, even when she first started kindergarten, there were some friends with watches or whatnot, and she was asking about them. So I started that conversation very early of, you will not have a phone until high school.
Just
like,
prepare
just
yourself.
FYI,
Yeah.
I'm going to put that out there, so stop asking kind of thing. And she knows that, but we still, I mean, there were like all the little Khan Academy games and PBS Kids that everybody was using as different kind of tools. But as soon as you put that screen in front of their face, they're a different kid when you try to pull it away. I saw that quickly, and so we limit a lot. We're pretty strict at my house.
Good tools if used at certain times, or they're limited.
Yeah.
If you're monitoring, you're there.
But you've got to monitor.
You really got to monitor and really have to limit the amount of time.
Because the change is quick. It's very quick.
It is, and one of the things that I've mentioned a lot in this process is, so before I worked here, I worked in Brooklyn, New York for 4 years in a very under-resourced school, and the general population or the general vibes were lower motivation with student motivation. And so I was just kind of accustomed to trying to build that in the classroom, like building that motivation. And then I taught in Montgomery, Alabama for 4 years. And it was a mix, but also like pushing that motivation. But when I came here, it was right after COVID. So I started, 2020. Yeah. And I just saw this like drastic drop in motivation.
A lot of student apathy at that time.
Yeah.
Going into COVID, coming out of that, and the masking, but also everything had to be done on screens. For a period. When we shut down in 2020, that March, April 2020,
we went virtual. Everyone flipped.
The whole state.
Yeah.
And we weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
And then when we came back, even though we were one of the, I feel like, fortunate systems, we opened back up and we were able to remain in person. But, through the contact tracing and getting sent home, everything had to be online. For classroom teachers, you all had to keep your Google Classroom updated every day. So if a student was out for 7 or 14 days, whatever the rule was for that particular student, everything went online.
Yes.
And so students had to have the screen time and they had to be on, and parents began relying on that.
Yeah.
They did.
And and then when they came back to school, it was hard to build those relationships because we were in a mask at the time, because that was the guidance.
6 foot.
6 foot.
Don't give me a hug. Yeah, we're not doing that.
So even when we started moving from those, the screen effect, I think it was a combination of so many things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the screen effect, we've really not gotten out of. I do feel like walking through the buildings in the past, since this school year started, but even within the past year, that we're starting to get some of that back.
I do too.
Teachers are and students are starting to connect more. What I've seen so far this school year, and being in the buildings, is that connection's growing. I hope you all are feeling that in the buildings.
Yes,
absolutely.
I think we're pushing it, and it is where it's growing.
Yeah, I try to stay to get into one school a day. If it's harder some days than others, but try to get out, walk the halls, and look into some classrooms. 1 or 2 a day, and it just seems like students are way more engaged with the teachers, but also talking to each other with each other.
Yes.
So hopefully we're starting to get a little of that.
I think we are, and let's jump into the chapter because that's really one of the reasons I think that they are, is because we're so fortunate that we've gone no phone, which is one of its points.
Yes.
I do like here in the opening, one of his opening lines. He says, in April 2023, the Washington Post ran a story with the headline, "One School's Solution to the Mental Health Crisis, Try Everything." And that really hit home because we have tried.
Throw it and see if it sticks.
Yeah, we have tried everything. And I'm not saying that any of it was wrong or right or any of that, but like trauma-informed care, all the various things we've tried. When he's saying, like, if we're not addressing this, we're kind of just
fishing for minnows.
Yeah, fishing for minnows
standing on a well.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the whole chapter was when you're standing on a well fishing for minnows. And to your point of trying everything, Isn't that what we usually do? We put Band-Aids all over everything and never try to look for the bleed. And so, and I think it's because we know it's going to hurt. And that's going to hurt everybody. It's going to be hard.
It's going to be an uncomfortable truth when you find what the problem is.
Well, I'm very thankful for our school board for because they did call this out. And said, it is the screens, it is the phones. And we have to do something. And started leading that initiative. Even it was hard to enforce, but the pouches, we tried that for a couple of years before we moved to the cases and locking the phones up. And even with that, it was hard to get kids to follow the rules, put them in the pouches. And they would making up, no, I don't have my phone, I don't have it, or put,
bringing a spare phone.
Bringing a spare, putting them in. And the hard thing, too, is parents were texting them all throughout the day, knowing they're not supposed to have them. But still texting them back and forth. I was guilty as a parent. My kids were in high school, and if it crossed my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, hey, we got to do this, send them a reminder, or they would send me something. And the expectation was you don't check till you go between classes or when it was allowed. Some teachers enforced it, some didn't.
I think that's the big point too in this chapter is that the other mistake that we made is we let them have them in their free time. And that's the whole point of this whole thing is they're going to be in class anyway. When you want to see the results of being able to communicate and engage with other students is in between classes.
He points that out in this chapter, and he spends a lot of time talking about that those solutions just don't work because, again, the kids are not engaging with each other. And not
in the unstructured time.
He so one of the things he says early on is to address the widespread anxiety in this generation, there are two whales. So I'm talking about standing on the whale. Two big things that schools could do using mostly resources they already have. These are phone-free schools and more free play. And then he has the whole section about phone-free schools, and we've spoken a little bit about that already. Were there any parts specifically about the phone-free section that stood out?
For me, and I think it was this chapter, and if I've got it wrong, correct me, because you guys have got much better notes than I have. but I think it was in this chapter where he spent time talking about we're robbing kids of the opportunity to problem solve and to work things out. He used both the phones, but also the free play
opportunities.
But the kids texting their parents just to solve anything. And Mr. Martin, our deputy director, and I, when we first were moving this policy, we spent time, and that was before we had read the book and read this chapter specifically. But Tim would talk about, hey, when I was in high school, we would go to town. If we were going to go to the movies, we'd get there and the movie sold out. Well, we had a choice. We had to figure something out. Or if the car broke down, we had a flat. We're with our friends. We got to figure this out because we've got a curfew. There's no calling home. No checking it out. And we're robbing kids of the opportunity to do that. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Well, both of my kids are in college now. And I'm guilty, but I'm in the Facebook groups. The parent groups. It's the parents, and one's here at Tech, one's in Chattanooga UTC, and I'm in those parent groups, and it blows my mind the messages that parents are throwing in there. Hey, my child is having an issue with this roommate. Can you please help? My kid can't find parking. Can you please help? Kid lost their ID. Who's
oh no.
Those are things when we were in college. We were just here. There was no call home, no check home, no mom, dad, come help me out. We had to learn to navigate and problem solve and figure all of that out, which helped, I think, as you move into adulthood, help us be prepared to handle and answer and
confidence,
problem solve.
Resilience, grit, all of those things.
And he touches on that in here, and we really are robbing kids of the opportunity to do those things by answering all the questions for them and being constantly available.
And one of the reasons we were successful in college was because we had already tried that in high school and middle school. I remember.
Well, this isn't going to work. I've got to go out figure. I guess I'm going to go across campus. And see
Absolutely.
What I
mean, I remember one weekend. I was 16. My friend and I went mudding with my little Mazda Protege. It's like a little car,
Great
and
idea.
we got it stuck, and then we couldn't get it out. So we went and got his mom's Ford Explorer and tried to pull it out. We got it stuck. So we used a payphone to call a tow truck, and we got them both out.
Because you don't want mom to know.
We could not let our moms know.
We took them immediately to the car wash.
We washed them. The only thing we didn't do, we forgot the underneath.
You sprung for the
next day in the garage, all you saw was red dirt just in the when we pulled out. It was just red dirt. So we still didn't get caught. We like made an excuse for that.
But you learned a lesson.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we should have kids going out and doing it, but it was like
you problem
solved through that.
Yeah.
You got 2 cars unstuck. That's pretty impressive.
Unstuck. Yeah.
I don't know many kids that would do that right now.
Yeah. Well, now that's the thing. The kids just use the phone for everything. And there is a fear here for parents because you have to let go. You have to trust your kids. So you've got to give up some control.
And you have to trust the rest of society too.
Yes.
That's a hard part for me.
It is. So you're not only asking your kids to do the right thing,
but you're just hoping the strangers
hoping
will
the others.
too.
And we talk about bullying and things like that, which people use that a lot for just mean kids. There have always been kids that did that, even when we were in school.
Oh yeah.
But you dealt with it at school, but you learned how to navigate those. And he talks about that in here too, the free play as you get into that and the unstructured play. You kind of learn how to navigate the different groups and the social situations and how to deal with that because not everybody's bringing the same values to the table that you might bring or you would hope your kids are bringing.
Yeah.
So letting them figure that out without
powerful.
It really is. And by constantly trying to help them problem solve and them staying in touch, it does increase that anxiety that we see in the students.
Absolutely.
So,
and so maybe in like less nefarious like crime type things like mudding in fields that I'm not supposed to be, we could go ahead and move to the playful schools area and just talk about, all the important things that come from play. And I mean, you were early educator, pre-K.
Yes. No, actually,
for many years, right?
Yes, I was over pre-K.
Was 3rd grade.
But I was a third grade. I was Sarah's third grade teacher.
wow.
Yeah, there's so many.
Wow, we got
It's probably the reason why she wanted to be a teacher.
Yes. Well, I had Jill's kids in school. So
there you go. But yes, early grades teacher.
Yeah.
And you know what though, I started in the 80s. I started a long time ago. We didn't have to teach kids how to play then.
No.
They could play. They could find sticks on a playground.
We could find a stick in a dirt hole. And
that's right.
Dig.
That's right. But that's drastically shifted.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to know what to do. So I've seen a huge difference in how recess looks. But I will say this: one thing I'm really excited about is in Putnam County the way we have our gardens and I don't know what you call it at Allgood. What's
the wilderness area.
The wilderness area, and trying to develop those at other schools. Prescott South has that.
Wonderland.
And Northeast is going to have something like that.
Yep.
But that allows kids to explore, problem solve, and do all that. And that is a form of play.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about what that could look like at all of our other schools.
Yes.
And it plays right into what it says in the book about kids needing to not be supervised all the time. When they walk in the woods, they're not supervised.
It's hard.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing for us as educators too.
Yeah.
And so he makes some really good points in here. But this is where it takes the whole community working together.
Yes.
Yep.
Because when elementary student, I can still remember that far back. As an elementary student, we just had the big, wide open playground. And there were a few structures. We had the swings, the merry-go-rounds.
We had the metal slide.
We did the metal slides.
We still have those when I was there.
The metal slides, the swings, and it was just dirt, under them. No 6 inches of mulch, no rubber mulch, or anything. It was just the dirt. And we learned how to deal with that. There was the area where the big kids and the older kids got to go play a little further away from the teachers that didn't have any of that, where we found the stick in the mud hole or played, whatever games at the time we were playing with, just imagination and, run, chase, tag, all of these things that kids aren't doing now. Now we're so overprotected, but back then too, the teachers would stand over here on this side of the playground. We would be way out over here. So we're running and playing, and as long as nobody's fighting, that's just how it went. And you worked everything out there on the playground. Now, because of all the lawsuits, we've become such a litigious society.
We have to micromanage
We
recess.
do. We want the teachers moved, scattered around the playground, so everything is supervised. Because if a kid gets hurt, the first thing that comes out, the parent is, well, who was watching? Why were you not there? Why weren't you on top of it? They don't want or trust the other kids to have that free time, and everything is so overprotected.
Yeah.
You've probably got the quote.
Well, I do. As you're talking about it, there's the whole concept of a no rules recess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think it was in a different, it was in another country, in New Zealand, they have a no rules recess.
Yeah.
And it was talking about, would that work in the United States? Probably not
It
right
wouldn't
now
right
because
now.
of threats of lawsuit and parental protests
And that
are
is
just
so true.
too great.
Yeah.
And for but as a kid, that's what I experienced.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sure that's
And
what
I
you
learned
guys
a
had some of
lot.
that.
Yeah.
And the rule would have been no fighting, because if there was a fight,
Yeah.
everybody circles
And
up.
if somebody gets hurt, come grab me.
Now the teachers are going to queue in and they're going to come circle up. All
They
right,
see
grab
a
you up
fight
and drag you.
brewing. Yeah.
Right.
But this
And they know.
collective action, that's the whole purpose,
Yeah.
I believe, in doing the book study is for us to have those conversations with parents about what could that look like. And you're going to have to be more trusting and understand why we're doing the way we're doing it. And kids do need unstructured time, and they may get hurt.
Yeah.
They might.
I think so, Jill. And I think the trust is a big factor too. And a big change we've seen, that it's going to take the community again to rally around. He doesn't talk about that in the book, but that's exactly right. When we were in school and when you were a younger teacher, parents just trusted the teachers. And yes, the kid might get hurt. Yes, something might happen, but there was a trust that you were there and we were going to work through it. And it wasn't, looking for the teacher to do something wrong or not be supervising, or the teacher wasn't at fault if that happened. It was an accident.
Yeah, absolutely.
We fell on the playground, fell off the monkey bars and broke an arm. Who would have guessed that could happen?
Yeah.
Now it's, why did you let them climb up there? Why wouldn't the mulch the right?
Why weren't you watching them closely?
Right.
Couldn't have stopped the fall of the monkey
So
bars.
that has been a real change. But for us to have to go back and let kids explore and do that, it's going to take building that trust back in for teachers and educators.
Yes.
And yes, we have people. I mean, we're the largest employer in most districts across the state. So you're going to have people do things that they shouldn't do, that are not acceptable. And we're going to deal with that. But we've always had teachers who did things they shouldn't from time to time, or any other walk of life, any job, any career, doesn't matter. There are people who just don't do the right thing.
Absolutely.
So we're like other professionals, and it gets hot, and it shouldn't be, and it's embarrassing. I get angry, I get mad when a teacher does something that they shouldn't, and you see it on the news. But I also realistically know it's minority.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the norm.
The vast majority doesn't want your kid to get hurt.
That's
They
right.
don't want they don't want you to be angry with them for no reason. For any reason.
That's right. I mean, 99.5%. Here you got that 0.5 maybe. I don't know, but.
Well, I think one of the major shifts too that we have to see is I don't know if we as a culture right now, we as a society deeply understand the importance of play. I think we've lost that. And I think even when we were kids, and maybe it was different eras, but though we had a larger amount of play in our early lives, I don't think our parents were some social scientists where they were like, get out,
it was just the norm.
This is how you develop health.
It was just
they were like,
how
just
it was.
They just wanted to sound right out of their head.
Exactly,
Mama sent us out, like, y'all get outside. There were 3 of us. They're like, y'all get outside, don't come back in till then. I'll call you when I want you back in.
Exactly.
You hear the bell, show back up. Okay.
Yeah,
but,
otherwise, get outside and stay out.
He speaks to the benefits of play, and even what you were saying, Miss Ramsey, about the nature and being in nature at school. The opportunity to be in Allgood Middle and the Wonderland Woods,
Wonderland
which
Woods.
My girls love it, and we're so sad in. Is it after kindergarten when they weren't?
We added first grade in this year.
Okay, good.
So we're trying to slowly. It's just it's hard, but that's one of the. If you want to see some restoring childhood happening, go to Wonderland Woods when kindergarten's out there.
Well, it's just so incredible.
It's
amazing because as kids, that was just where we were.
That's just where we played.
If
there was a tree, I was going to climb it.
And so for them, it's like it's. It was already a whole new world for us, even though we were in it. It was still. You would go in the woods and it was just, you could be lost. All the problems in the world. It's that's the world.
And don't we want our kids, all kids, to experience that? Because what you just described is exactly how I felt when I went in the woods. If I had a bad day at school, we had those woods behind the house, and we went deep in the woods, and nobody knew where we were, and nobody worried about us. But to just pick up sticks and create,
build a fort.
Dig in the dirt. We want all kids to be able to do that.
We had the sweetest comment from a kindergartner not long ago, and I think he ended up having to go inside for some reason during Wood's time. He got picked up early or something, and he looked at the teacher and he goes, "But I don't have this at my house."
Oh, that's
I was like, "Oh, he needs his Wood's time."
Yeah,
he
I grew
needs
up
it
in the country,
desperately.
so that's something I
yes.
didn't experience. But we do have lots of kids who live
They don't
here
have
in the
it.
city who don't have that.
Yeah, and I like how on page 260 he says, human childhood evolved in savannas and forests alongside streams and lakes. When you put children into natural settings, they instinctively explore and spontaneously invent games. Abundant research shows that time in natural settings benefit children's social, cognitive, and emotional development. And these benefits matter even more as young people are increasingly ensconced, in virtual world.
Well done. Well done.
As their anxiety levels continue to rise.
Oh yeah.
Did I say that right?
No,
Is
you
that
did.
wow.
You did a great job.
And you can't repeat that in a virtual field trip.
No.
Yeah,
A
no.
virtual
doesn't-
playground or a
you can't.
virtual
No.
setting. It's just not.
There's a
the same
tactile
as being
aspect
out.
to things that
yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
And I was looking over
Grab
on the
that bush with the thorn. like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a
Don't
learned
grab
lesson.
blackberry
Yeah.
bushes. That's not a good idea. On the next page, it talks too just about how we have specified exactly how children should play. We've taken the unstructured because we're like, oh yeah, we want them to have recess, but when they play two-hand touch football, here's the 5 rules, and if you don't abide, we're taking football. And it's because we've gotten afraid of lawsuits and parental protests, and teachers just feel anxious themselves about letting go and letting that happen,
because they've
and that's
been
hard.
threatened so many times.
Yes. And they've maybe
that's
they've watched Johnny, who's a little bit too aggressive on the football field, and it makes them nervous.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's this funny thing happening that I mean, it's happening at your school, so just be aware. But it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
But Maya, who's in 4th grade this year, this started last year. They played tag, but it turned last year into boys versus girls, and then it would get heated, and so then tag got banned.
It did. No, it did. They banned tag, and I was like, oh, we're gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, so tag got
been
banned.
like an age-old game like
this
that.
year. Now it's started. Maya's come home and be like, well, tag started again.
Oh no.
And she's like, okay. And then the next day she reports, okay, it's boys versus girls again.
And
and
here
then,
we go.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, how many
Circling
days
the
before
drain.
it gets banned?
Oh my goodness.
But so Jill, you were a teacher and then an administrator, kind of as this shift happened. How do we go back? That's the thing. I don't know.
How do we go back to the?
Because I think we all have good, fond memories.
Yeah.
I think most parents
And
probably
how do we
would
fit
have.
it all in?
Yeah.
But how do? Well, that's we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
But even if we say we can find a way to fit it in, how do we go back?
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, I think that it's conversations and educating the community about what's important and why it's important, and then coming up with solutions to it. And then, we're all collectively, I love that word, we're doing this collectively. As a community, it's not a political thing, it's not it's a benefit for kids. And I think when everybody can join together and say, okay, if this is what's best for kids, let's figure out how to go back to, we don't need to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for playground equipment when they can play tag. Quit banning it.
It wasn't her. She did not ban it.
I'll work on it.
She's on
Miss
it.
Harvick is off the tag.
I am pro tag.
I think just having conversations and bouncing ideas off of each other and talking to groups of teachers and parents together and saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Be
Can you be
okay
on
with
board
it.
with it?
Be
Yeah.
okay with
So
it.
this is a hard conversation too, and Ms. Harvick hit on it just a minute, talking about time.
Yeah.
And that is such a difficult thing because in the schools now, we're under so much pressure to produce certain rigorous standards and academic standards. You can't find an early educator that has that certification and background who does not agree that more recess is better for the kids and more free time and more unstructured time. But the people who are making the rules don't listen to us.
Absolutely.
Trying to make that master schedule.
So even this year, with adding the additional recess, and I applaud the General Assembly for us you say, hey, we've got to add more recess. We get that.
Yes.
But at the same time, why did we go away from more recess and why do we have that? Because we also have all these accountability standards academically that we have to hit. Even though children develop at different rates and some are going to learn faster, pick it up, mature faster than others. They're going to develop at a different speed. We can help those who are coming from a lower starting point achieve success. We can help them get to grade level, but that takes time. That takes resources. And there's only
academic minutes.
Academic minutes, and there's only so much time in a day.
And it takes legislators being at the table. We can't do this when they continuously put pressure on us about test scores, and at the same time make laws requiring more recess. You can't talk both sides of that.
That's the point I'm trying to make here. Yet we can work on one area here. We can kind of work to help get kids where they think they need to be or what they would consider a student. But we can't do both or all in the amount of time we have, and it doesn't translate when they go home, because we know when they go home, not all kids have a parent at home who has the time or ability to sit and read with them and do the homework and do the extra things. If we put more recess in the day or more PE in the day, or then if we have to have, we want to include art, you want to include music, you want to include computer science. Those are all important. But again, we've got 7 hours in a day. There's only so much time there. So
at some point they got to eat lunch.
Something's got to give.
I would like to
do those
extended
things.
lunches and deeper engagement there. I mean, I would even like kind of the model of other countries who have kind of seen lunch as even a core subject. In France, the kids have this little 5-course meal and all this.
We're there yet.
We're not there yet. But I mean,
we got to get to no rules recess first.
We got to have tag first, and then we'll get the 5-course meal. Tag and then 5-course meal lunch. But I am where I continuously return to, and it kind of reinvigorates my hope, is the idea of collective action. That word that you used, that you said. And he does say on 256, he says, renormalizing childhood independence requires collective action, and collective action is most easily facilitated by local schools. And when I read this, the word local hit me, because I think one of the shifts, and when you say, how do we get back to this? One of the major shifts we've seen is schools used to be neighborhood schools. So the way that zoning worked, the school in that neighborhood and the surrounding area, it served that surrounding area. So the people in that area were more invested in that school. And we have some of our zoning meets with that. And then at Avery Trace, I know some of my kids are far across town.
Exactly.
So I think that is one of the challenges, is that just geographically, we don't have neighborhood schools like we used to, and building that community becomes more challenging, but it can happen.
Let's explore that for a minute. Because I didn't grow up in Cookeville. I'm not from here. And that was the case. I grew up in Lawrence, not too far, 2.5 hours or so. But when I first started teaching here in Cookeville, it seems like we did, and now even still, when you talk about different schools, people have pride in the neighborhood schools. I know you and I've talked about that. You were a Northeast kid, went to Northeast, and you were. I didn't know you were a Northeast kid. You were there.
The Trojans, exactly.
But those, the neighborhood schools, and you're there. And I know you taught at Northeast, and so we have that. It doesn't matter which school you pick. But now, when we try to zone, we first tried. Now it's gotten better, and we zone, which brings people back to the neighborhood schools. But why is it that parents want out and away from the neighborhood schools? They're looking at data. They're looking at test scores. They're looking, this school over here.
They're hearing the rumors on the street and the conversations people are having.
Well, they provide a lot more. We use the same curriculum in every school.
Yes, we're pretty equitable.
But this school provides more. They provide this, or they get better results. Well, they have a different socioeconomic, because the neighborhood, the
a lot of
resources at home.
But
those are part of the conversations too. We can provide the structure and the things that we, doesn't matter what school you go to. But parents have to buy in that this neighborhood school is going to provide my kid, and I'm going to go be an active member of the PTO here, and I'm going to be active in the school here and take pride in that, just like I would if I were over here at this school.
One of the things that the book mentions too, Ron, is talking about that playtime before school and after school. That kind of suggests that it becomes more of a community school where people are meeting before school and having some free playtime with a parent there. And that sort of thing. And those are kinds of things that we can do too that would make it more of a community.
He even talks about the play club, the after school play club. And we kind of have I mean, Leaps is not a play club. It's a more structured thing. But I think through some of the things we already have, there's ways of looking at it.
Oh, absolutely.
That was my thing. I actually wrote down Leaps ?
Yeah.
21st century. So I was like,
But the grants and the funding.
And then you get restrictions and guidelines.
Right. You have to meet some
have
guidelines, or we don't get the funding to offer that. And that's a huge benefit for a lot of students and families having the extra academic time. And we do try to structure in fun activities in Leaps. But if you structure in unstructured, just like here, free time, that's not going to be approved in the grant, so you're not going to get the funding to provide that. So
there's a lot of strings attached to all of these different things.
That's right.
Well, I do think, especially being in a middle school where we have now gone phone free, I really feel very encouraged and feel like we're already a step ahead of the game. Good. It might not even feel like it sometimes, but like we absolutely are. And the fact that he mentions two main things in this chapter that schools can do. I mean, people can read it and go into detail about it all, but the phone free school was a huge one, and then increasing play. I feel like we're really at a good place now. We give this a little bit of time. We get everybody in this book. And then we start really educating and organizing around the idea of play and what that looks like, and being creative. I think we really stand a huge chance to do something big here.
I think a big thing that I say, and you're right, whether parents read the book or not, whether they dive in the way that we have, it's gotten the conversation started. But going back to the concept of letting go, and just trusting that your child's got to learn to navigate some of this. We've got to trust the adults who are there, and we've got to let go. And yes, they might get hurt, and yes, somebody might be mean to them, and yes, something might happen. We don't want this to go overboard. But that the just bullying that continues that you hear about that they're so worried about, most of that's happening online. And on social, it's not happening as much during the day at school. It's online, and they can't get away from it.
It's hard to protect them online.
That's it. And so it's so much harder to protect them online than it is if
they're in our four walls. I got them. I'm going to take care of them. I'm not going to let him play tag, but I'll take care of him.
No, you're not the tag.
But he talks about that in the book. How it's so much easier to monitor and see what's happening without the screen. But yet we're giving them the most dangerous thing. We're putting that in their hands, and they've got access to everything and anybody out there. And we continue to do that, and it really is. And it's hard to navigate and monitor. These kids are pretty savvy. They're hiding apps. They're hiding what they're doing. They know. And the parents say, "Well, I'm monitoring. I'm checking." You really don't. Because unless you're a tech person,
unless you know what the latest trend and fad is too.
Well, and if the kids are on Snapchat, the messages
Snapchat's the devil.
Disappear. I mean, there's really no way to even monitor that. It was made to cause
problems.
And it does. And majority, when I was doing the attendance truancy, I did that for 8 years before moving to the deputy director spot. 80% of the discipline issues we had around continuous misconduct, bullying, things like that, went back to Snapchat. Snapchat, and every now and then you would get an Instagram or something, but 9 out of 10, Snapchat.
Because they felt safe because it disappeared. They had a level of veil of mystery.
Somebody screenshot, and that really got things fired up because then you get a hold of that. But I mean, it was rough. And there's always still like Be Real.
You got it all. Instagram, Be Real, TikTok, all the things.
TikTok is awful. All the TikTok challenges, we deal with that in school. There's just nothing good coming from that.
No. So. And I mean, that's why once again I'm completely relieved. And I've said this, but I feel like the students are also relieved, whether they. Some of them are admitting it, actually.
When I'm in the high schools especially. I haven't had a middle schooler admit this yet, and I hope it'll happen before the year's over. But in the high schools, the kids will tell you, I didn't think this was going to be good, but I'm really enjoying this. I'm having a great time. I'm actually talking to my friend.
I made a friend. I haven't made a friend in 6 years.
That has, I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but it has.
It has.
And again, haven't had that in the middle school yet. Hope it will before, maybe before the semester's
Well, the change he talks about, he talks about that 2 years, that in 2 years we could see a drastic difference if we get that collective action and we move forward with it. And that's really not a long time.
No.
So, that could be,
we're on a good
trajectory.
Start.
Well, I hate to say it, but we're out of time. I know we could all talk about this.
Quickly.
I know, we could talk about this for like weeks.
No, we could.
But,
we really could.
Is there any final thing?
The famous we're going to let Jill close it out.
Jill
Ramsey.
No, I just want to go back to to the taking the time that it's going to take, because kids don't know how to communicate right now face to face. They really don't know how. So we've got to give them time to figure that out before we can expect to see a huge difference, because they're learning all this. They're navigating. They've been with that phone their whole life.
I know you hear this in the community in your role as a board member, and I hear this in my role as well from our business partners, and it stings when I hear it. But that exactly what you're talking about. The kids don't have the soft skills, the ability to communicate. They can't put them at the at a register in the front, at a wait staff or whatever, just the jobs that you would expect a high school student to have, because they don't have the communication skills. And they're so used to just looking at their phone. So that's a great point that I hope we can start building that back. So
and parents read the book.
Absolutely.
I do think it's not an easy read. It's not one of the easier books you just pick up and go through. It's dense at times.
It is. It makes you think though, and it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel good.
I've talked to several parents who have read it, and they're like, a couple of them in particular, it's like, I cried because I'm guilty of allowing my child that. I'm like, no, you're not. You just didn't know.
You didn't know. Yeah.
So it's not that we don't know better, but once we learn and you know better, we try to do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's lots of formats, right? Like, I mean, audiobook is the first way I would listen to it. And
there's, it's translated into multiple languages. But so it's very accessible. Get the book, read it, and I want to thank you all for all you do, and thank you for helping us get on the same page with this thing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us and putting us together.
Yeah,
it's great.
Right.